Welcome.
Thank you.
We saw you watching clips of you from 1994. What goes through your mind when you see that today?
Just the old footage, how the cameras and everything was. But no, it's amazing. You know, I'm very humbled every time it's shown. Everyone, you know, still talks about it. You know, it's a very humbling experience to know that your high school career was filmed and made into a movie. Wouldn't me or William Gates or either of our families wasn't even looking for fame. You know, now today people are looking for fame, yes, trying to get onto, and we was the most oblivious thing from us.
Was this maybe the start of reality television as we know it?
Yes, it was, and I truly believe so. I had never seen anything else on TV come close to it. Yeah. But it's funny that right after Hoop Dreams came out, you seen Real World.
Yep.
So it was some producers somewhere saying to themselves like, hey, wait a minute. If these guys can go into the inner city and put cameras in a family's home and see, you know, the inner workings of how they, you know, of everyday life, how come we can't do this with 5 kids in a nice plush, room, house in New York or whatever? But yeah, you know, Real World kind of bit the bug and sprouted everything.
How did they find you? How did this all come about? What was your first interaction with the producers and the filmmakers of Hoop Dreams?
It's funny because it happens just like it does in the movie. We are playing on the basketball court at Delano Playground on the west side of Chicago, and it's like about 10 of us. We just playing pickup ball, and we see these 3 white guys come up with cameras and tripods and just setting up everything, like, you know. So we like, man, like, they might get robbed for this equipment. Like, we need to go over there and, like, kind of, you know, because, you know, we don't want no violence or anything to happen to these guys. So I went over and introduced myself. I said, you know, my name is Arthur. You know, what are you guys doing here? And they was like, oh, we thinking about doing a 30-minute after-school special on PBS about how basketball is played in the inner city. Oh, that was right up our alley then. So we was like, cool, y'all have any problems, just let us know. We're gonna be on the court playing. So they just start setting up and start filming and everything. And Earl Smith, he was the one with the magic eye to see talent in me that I didn't even know I had at that point. And even to the filmmakers, they was just like, this little shrimp guy right here, you see something in him? They was like, yeah, we do, I do. And they was like, okay, you know, you the expert. I'm looking for talent, so.
What did you see in yourself? Did you feel like you had a chance to make it to the NBA?
No, not at that point. I didn't even know if I was going to go to college at that time. And basketball was my second love. Football was my first sport. I loved being a wide receiver. And I only started playing basketball because my older sister, made the boys' basketball team. So everybody at my school, Manier School on the north side, Old Town Gardens, Manier, she made the team, and everyone was like, oh man, your sister better than you, your sister better than you. So I was like, okay, let me show y'all I can play basketball too. And that's how I started playing basketball and fell in love with it.
You're from East Garfield Park?
Yeah, well, West Garfield Park.
West Garfield Park.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I don't know if you were feeling it, but was there just the feeling in your neighborhood that basketball was one of the few ways out?
Oh yeah, we looked at Isaiah Thomas, we looked at Mark Aguirre, the ones that came before us. And you know, rap hadn't come on the scene that big yet. It was still kind of dormant. But, you know, through sports, football, basketball, baseball, those was the things that we looked at to, you know, get ourselves a scholarship to a university and hopefully one day get an opportunity to play professionally somewhere in whatever sport it may be. But yeah, I mean, Isaiah Thomas was a real big reason, you know, for me staying away from certain elements that was in my neighborhood. Real big reason. I was like, if Isaiah Thomas could do it, I know I can do it.
It's funny that you mentioned Isaiah. I'm from Detroit, and it was sort of the same thing. How long did it take for you to realize that your story was everybody else's story in some way, shape, or form? How long did it take you to realize the effect that you had? Because when it came out, you probably had to have some type of tunnel vision. So how long did it take for you to realize that?
After the film came out in '94, it took about 3 to 5 more years to understand the whole element of it, of how it you know, just I represented so many other young men, not just African-American men, but anyone that had a dream and wanted to pursue it. You know, why shouldn't we wear it on our sleeve? Why shouldn't we, you know, want this as ask for this? And, you know, like I said, Isaiah Thomas, he was playing in Detroit, but I was a Detroit guy. I was rooting for Detroit. And, you know, while they was filming Hoop Dreams. And all the Chicago Bulls fans and my Marshall students and teammates was hating on me for it. And I would go to school with my brushes like, we swept y'all again.
Oh, the exact worst time to be doing that.
And it's funny, I just had the pleasure to meet, to see Isaiah again when he came here to Chicago. He filmed something for NBA TV. But, you know, I went over and talked with him, and just seeing him and talking with him and just being in his presence and him knowing, you know, my story and how I tried to mimic his so much. He told me, he said, man, I'm so glad of the man that you've become and how you carry yourself and how you really understand the element of what Hoop Dreams means, not just to people who don't play the sport, but people who are fans of the sport.
Yeah, I'm wondering, you know, there's so much attention paid nowadays to high school basketball throughout the country, especially here in Chicago.
Yes.
College recruiting gets a lot of eyeballs on the internet. And we've seen it here in Chicago. You know, there are guys that are highly touted, like a Jabari Parker, Anthony Davis, Derrick Rose, who go on to make it. And then there are others like a Cliff Alexander or Jeremy Richmond, who are at the top of recruiting classes coming out of high school, and they fizzle out and stuff happens. I'm wondering, do you, based on your perspective and your experience over the years, do you think we're paying too much attention to these guys when they're 14, 15, 16 years old? Do you think that's healthy, or what's your perspective on that?
Well, I mean, it's always been there. I mean, the element of seeing a kid at 7 or 8 years old and trying to nurture him into something of a sports superstar. I remember, you know, I saw them do it to Ben Wilson, Marcus Liberty, these guys. And, you know, Marcus went on to have a great career at Illinois, but his kind of fizzled out a little bit when he got to Denver and the NBA. And I think every kid in every situation is different. Just take Clifford Alexander, for instance. You know, that one mistake that he made cost him of people looking at his character and looking at certain things, how he may handle himself when he gets to the NBA. And like I said, just every case is different. I mean, look at Kevin Garnett, you know, just came in from South Carolina, you know, 2 years with Ronnie Fields, and he off to the NBA. But it was really Ronnie Fields' team. Ronnie Field had an incident, and you see what happened to him. And they always say some of these guys get blackballed and things of that sort. But I always say, okay, you know, you can't hang your hat on that. Okay, this has happened to me, so now I'm going to move on and start my other dream. You know, I got to be creative and not and not show that this is the only thing that I can do. This is the only thing that I can be successful at or make money at. You know, look at me and William Gates. We never made it to the league, but our story almost puts us right with the NBA, because it cemented us in the game of basketball. I mean, we should be in the Hall of Fame, for God's sake. I
almost won an Academy Award.
I don't like to, you know, brag or nothing like that, but, you know, kids call me and say, I just watched your movie and I'm so inspired, I'm gonna really take basketball serious now. And I'm like, I've never met this kid before, but if I send them some nice little information and tell them, you know, work ethic, you know, skill set, mindset, you know, understand that nothing works without a plan, and take small baby steps first. And once they hear that, oh, they go tell their friends. Arthur Agee just called, just follow me back on Instagram. He's my friend on Twitter. Now 30 of his friends in high school have Instagrammed me, asking me questions, and it's just prior to this week.
Do people recognize you when you walk around town?
Oh yeah, it's so funny. I mean, I can be anywhere. I mean, I can be in court paying a traffic ticket. You know, someone said, man, I mean, you can see them staring from you at the corner of your eye. You just going about your business. You're like, man, hey, can I ask you a question? I don't want to bother you or anything, but do you play basketball? What's your first name? Arthur Agee. I knew it was you. I knew it. Man, how you doing? How's Shannon doing? How's your mom?
Oh my God.
I'm like, and they act like they know me. And you know, raised by two great parents, you know, very humble and down to earth. And I sit there and talk with him and let him know Shannon's doing great. You know, we still good friends. I talked to William the other day. My mom's cooking some more chicken and some sweet potato pies for me right now, you know.
Chris kind of asked this question, but I'm interested, you know, when you see the, are we doing enough, or is the college game, is the NCAA doing enough to protect these kids as they go into college ball and ensure that they're successful? Because you've seen a lot of high-profile, not just the Chicago kids, but high-profile flameouts where maybe kids didn't belong in college or at that college, or should have been allowed, should have been given more attention and support. You saw what happened in North Carolina with you know, people having plays. Do you feel like they're doing enough to protect these kids and not just treating them just as basketball players or as a commodity?
Well, it's always been like that, and I think it's going to continue to be like that. I mean, even the Nike tournament in Hoop Dreams, it was a meat market. You know, Dave was there, my boy Kaplan, he was there, and you know, for them to, but people say, is it wrong to have that dream and to pursue it? No, it's not wrong. You know what you're getting yourself into, and you know if you want to better your education, better your life, you have to go to school and get a degree and get an education. So the whole system is set up already. Now it's about what you do once you get in there. I mean, we've heard about a lot of guys getting in trouble in college. I got in trouble in college. I didn't shy away from it, but I didn't let that stop me. You know, I learned from it. I got some rear-ended it from my dad and my mom and told me, you know, how disappointed they were in me. And you move forward. And you just try to make a better life from there. But I think, you know, the whole thing with the NC2A, I think they're doing enough that they can with what they have, you know, with the players that's coming in these institutions.
In the movie, they followed you and William Gates. Do you still talk with William? What's going on with him?
Oh, that's my brother for life. Like you know, he's a pastor now. So anytime I got any problems or anything like that,
you go to him.
I go to my brother. I go to William. But you know, he's a very big part of my life. Anytime people see him, they ask about me. Anytime they see me, they ask about him. And you know, me and him just still keep that brotherly love. And I cannot talk to William for probably about 3 months. But when we do talk, it's like we just talked yesterday.
Well, Arthur, it is great to have you here. And
thank you.
Just seeing you, like the last time I saw you was 1994.
1994, right.
And, you know, like with anybody, and I'll just say for your purposes, your life could have gone in a whole other direction.
A whole nother direction.
And here you are, and it's great to see you. I don't want to say on the other side, but here we are 20-something years later, and to see you.
That's right.
It's great to see you, and thanks for coming.
Thank